as James was saying, I'm one of the senior account execs over at Cognism. The topic for today, topic title, is called Seek and You Shall Find. You're probably thinking, church is on a Sunday, it's only Wednesday afternoon, what does this all mean? Before we jump into things, I've got two assumptions based on this talk today. So assumption number one is that you're an SDR and your natural progression is into an AE role. So that's what the one assumption of today is. The second assumption, and this is I would say sort of common knowledge, is the types of businesses that, sales confidence, this community of the London tech space and further afield typically attract. There's a very good chance, and I know for a fact, that a lot of you will have the tools, the support, the initial training all in place to do your day-to-day roles as an SDR successfully. So, your calls, your SQOs, your commissions, your meetings booked, that's all going to be looked after. The point of this discussion today, Seek and You Shall Find, is what extra effort can you get or go and find that will give you that extra 1 or 2% when your chance to jump into an AE shoes comes around, based on those previous assumptions. You're probably thinking, Charlie, why are you asking me to do something that doesn't or get me more SQOs? These are some of the reasons why, and then I'll touch on what we're going to go through today. So the sort of excitement, what attracts people to these fast-growing companies is a multitude of reasons. But something that I found at Cognism, as James said, I was quite, maybe lucky, but, I went through the ranks relatively quickly, is that roles can open up when you least expect them. We're all in amazing companies. You don't know what's around the corner. You need to be ready for that AE role when the time comes. Hence the extra 1 or 2% today. The learning outcomes really from this quick talk is I want to encourage you more than anything to seek this extra 1 or 2%, this extra information outside of what you're already doing in your day-to-day as an SDR. And I'll touch on 3 main ones, as I think, today as we go through. On top of that, I'm going to give you 2 quick tips on what you can do immediately today, tomorrow, to help finding that extra information and get you off the ground running. Third and finally is I'm going to give you some takeaways around what I think worked for me, what I think could work for you looking back, around expanding your kind of knowledge base around departments, not just within your own business, but within other businesses that you're probably speaking to on the phones at the moment, and you'll be speaking to as an AE down the line. So kind of kicking things off with point number 1. This is around building your soft skill set, specifically soft skills around communication with different people. Sales is very interactive. It's even harder than ever before at the moment to have that level of interaction with someone because we're all sat behind Zoom. But it's a very interactive role, as we all know. I think when you jump to an AE role, that gets multiplied. Typically, your conversations as an SDR are relatively short and snappy. When you move into an AE role, you start speaking at a greater length, but with multiple different people in different departments. The best salespeople are comedians. And what I mean by that is that you can switch your personalities around very, very quickly. And I don't mean that in a deceitful way, but how you speak to Mr. Sales Director that is, Mr. Know-it-all, like he's down the pub on a Friday evening, is very different to how you speak to a CEO that is very, very corporate and very professional. You need to be able to spot these things and start tweaking them around. How can you start doing this? You're probably thinking. My first point, and what I want to encourage you to do, is to start seeking information from different departments. So, outside of your KPIs, your calls, your SQOs, what matters to a CMO might be very different to what you might think. What matters to a head of product or a CFO, again, could be very, very different to what at face value you're sort of pitching down the phones on a day-to-day. You're going to start being able to build a bigger picture and start joining the dots, I should say, around your business, but also the businesses that you're speaking with and putting that machine together. Leading on from this is my second sort of point for today, is start living in the minds of your prospects. You need to start taking responsibility outside of your SDR roles to really understand what it is people focus on that you're speaking to on the phones, but you'll be speaking to as an AE. Leads on from the point earlier. A fantastic course that I attended, and I wish I attended this earlier, was Sales Impact Academy, Thinking Like a CEO, opening up your horizons as to what different stakeholders within different businesses are ultimately worried about. If you don't have that, start looking externally. There's nothing wrong with looking outside of your day-to-day to find that level of support. Building on from living in the minds of your prospect is the language that they use. The benefit for this, more immediate is your calls. Start picking out what people say regularly, what resonates with the people that you're cold calling. But more importantly, when you get into that AE role, if you know that you know, for example, CMOs focus on one buzzword, CFOs look at something else, CEOs, you know, could be jargon based on my experience, but everyone has a different focal point. The earlier you start understanding that and start getting that into your day-to-day, it's going to put you 1, 2, 3% ahead of the curve when your time to interview for an AE comes around. You know, people buy from the person, not the company, I think is a fairly debatable topic, but there's no denying having that level of rapport with someone initially. It is a massive value add. My first quick tip is build relationships with people in other departments within your business. We're all in these amazing, fast-growing companies. And if you look at career trajectory, they're usually roughly the same. If you can start building relationships with people in CS, product, marketing, that may have started at a similar time to you, they're going to go up the ranks alongside you. And that's going to put you in a very good position when your time comes to start moving up the ranks. My final topic for today, my third point, is around product knowledge. If you have access to some tools like Gong, Jimny, Chorus, Refract, all these things that you might be doing for calls at the moment, fantastic. Now's your chance to start looking at demos. What are AEs doing? What are the successful AEs doing to really get ahead of the curve? Final point from today, and really a conclusion. And this is my sort of quick tip number 2. Mentor-mentee structures. If you don't have a mentor-mentee structure in place, get one. What I mean by that is something that we have at Cognism is BDMs, SDRs, AEs, whoever you are, will work very closely with someone in the team. Typically, mentor is a more senior role, mentee slightly lower. It's like a safe space. Set up a call every couple of weeks. Discuss things that you might be front of mind. What are you struggling with? What do you need to work on to get to that AE step so you're ready when the hiring time comes? Concluding that off is AE feedback. Seek that feedback whenever you can, because trust me, when that hiring comes, people will be looking internally for what people on the front line, what boots on the ground are saying about different SDRs. So build those relationships with your AEs early doors. I've gone slightly over the 7 minutes, so I'm going to cut things there. I know James has got the next speaker coming up, but thank you very much, guys.